So we have one of our brothers out in Mississippi. Now, Mississippi is, one of the states that you have a concentrated amount of black people. And, if black people was really on what they say they own online, but they really don't, practice that in the real world. If black folks would strategically move to a place like Mississippi where the cost of living is low, black people could take over the politics, black people could, take a governorship. I mean, that's really one state. Louisiana is another state. There's a lot of black people too. If black people want to strategically talk about getting a state, that's two states you can actually go after and have just a mass migration of black people, to those two states. Because all you got to do is politically outnumber, the white community there, and just start, taking over politically, and then just start spiraling from there. But that's neither here nor there. So in Mississippi, you had this particular police chief, and this is Lexington, Mississippi. If those of you who are from Mississippi, you may know that state. His name is Sam Dobbins. Now, there was a brother that had stopped working for that police department, but he actually wanted to go back work for him again so he can expose this white supremacist. Now, I want you to hear exactly, what this white supremacist was saying. And he's saying this directly to a black man. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Nominate Chief Sam Dobbins from the position of Chief of Police with the city of Lexington.
This is the news that many in Lexington were hoping to hear.
Today, the community of Lexington, Mississippi received justice.
The board made its decision just days after former Lexington police officer Robert Lee Hooker released an audio recording from April. He says the conversation is between him and Dobbins, who at the time was his police chief. Hooker accuses Dobbins of creating a stressful and toxic work environment.
I just got to the point where you're not doing the people right, you're not doing me right, so therefore let me expose you for what you are, who you are. And that's how it happened.
We obtained the audio. In the recording, Hooker says you can hear Dobbins using the N-word.
Let me explain something to you. Come on. You're going to get in some in the street. And there's only going to be one man fighting for you. All right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be me. Okay? Don't ever ruin that. All right? Because these other they'll let you fry. Okay?
As well as him speaking about people he's shot and killed as an officer.
I've killed 13 men in my career. Okay?
Ooh.
Justified. Huh?
Ooh.
In my career, I have shot and killed in the line of duty 13 different people.
You just shot so many
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Justified, bro.
Okay.
Ask around. Hey, they ain't gonna tell you no. Got a big corn shootout, man, a cornfield over there. Jimmy Dale Thomas, he worked it. Justified, bro. I shot that 119 times. Okay? I don't give a if you kill a under cold blood.
Do it right.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yep.
I will articulate to fix the problem. And I'm the only man in the business here that's smart enough to do it, I promise you.
But that's not all. Hooker says Dobbins also made negative comments towards the LGBTQ community.
I don't talk queers. I don't talk. I ain't got nothing for you.
Comments that many are calling disgraceful.
Once we heard it, we were just appalled. It's like, how can a chief, an officer, use that kind of rhetoric when you're sworn to protect and serve us?
Now, he had to be bold to sit up there and say all that to a black man's face, using the N-word to a black man's face. I mean, you would think he would be smarter than that to not do that. But I guess he's so used to saying it, and black people just don't, say nothing about it or whatever, right? And in some of these places, them folks get away with that. But you got to understand, them deep south places like Mississippi, Alabama, all Louisiana, all places like that, certain places in Texas, hell, But now, the thing is about us in Texas, that's not going to go down. It's a little different here. But this guy was admitting that he had bodied 13 people. He didn't care about doing it in cold blood. He didn't care about that at all. He was using the N-word, saying that he was justified. Listen, they don't have the moral compass to be judging what's justified or not. Just like that last video that we had produced here on this channel podcast about the bodega owner I got to do a whole podcast about that because all of you, you know, sad and sick black folk that sided with that dude, that's so off code. And I'm, you know, and, but I'll tell you why. Let me stick to this story. But this dude here, of course, he got removed. This town is 67% black, and yet he's the police chief. Why? In a town that's 67% black, it should be freaking Wakanda, right? It should be black police chief, black mayor, black city council, you know, black and I'm black and I'm black, y'all. It's no different in Ferguson, Missouri. Predominantly black city, but most of all the police are white. How does that even happen? How? And how the residents don't say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't look like the community, you know what I'm saying? This don't look like our community at all. But like I told y'all, it's not just this one guy. It'd be great if it was just him and that would be the end of it. It would be great. But it is not just him. And you know this. I have been doing this for 10 years, and it is an epidemic in this country because it's the culture of white supremacy. It's in the culture. Anti-black racism is in the culture. This is why this country will never change at all until they are out of power. As long as they stay in power, they're going to bring their culture, their ideology, and we know it's destructive and oppressive to black people. So sure, you got him out, but like the Demon Legion said, we are one of many. And that's exactly what these white supremacists are. They are one of many. The whole police departments all over the country are infested with Sam Dobbins. Infested with them. Because if they wasn't infested with them, we wouldn't have these issues. We wouldn't have no police issues. We wouldn't have none of that. Right? You have to understand this system was built off of anti-black racism. It wasn't built off of anti-Asian. It wasn't built off of anti-Arab. It wasn't built off of anti-Hispanic. It was built off of anti-black racism. Completely. But it's good this guy is gone. They did a good job on getting him out of there. But Lord, y'all let him be there that long. And I know good and well he was doing other things, but glad he's out. So shout out to the brothers and sisters in Mississippi. Like I said, hope y'all doing good out there. You know, keep supporting your brother Deion Sanders of Jackson State. You know, he doing y'all proud. Y'all really need to rally behind that brother because he really trying to bring up that football program in y'all state. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about this guy here. You know, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and make sure you click that like button because that's very important to spread the algorithm. And we'll see you on the next one.